the Seattle Community Police Commission. Welcome to the meeting today on Wednesday, July 6th. It's now 9:07 a.m. I'd like to begin with a land acknowledgement. The Seattle Community Police Commission acknowledges that we are on the traditional land of the Coast Salish people, including the Muckleshoot, Suquamish, and Duwamish people, past and present. With humility, we recognize how much we benefit from living on their land and water. The Seattle Community Police Commission honors and lifts up these tribes. And I hope that this acknowledgement will encourage authentic relationships with urban Native people and all Coast Salish tribes. I would also, before we continue, like to take a moment to honor Jalen Walker and his family from Akron, Ohio, and also acknowledge the mass shooting in Chicago from the 4th of July. At this time, I would like to take attendance of CPC commissioners. Unfortunately, it appears at this time we may not have enough for a quorum to take any votes or action, but we do have enough for a gathering or a discussion. So I'll start with Dave Patchy.
This is Brachi and present.
I see Mr. Pratchett is present. Sorry, Pratchett, Dave is present. Thank you. Austin Field. Not present. Reverend Hunter.
Present.
Reverend Walden.
Here.
Douglas Wagner.
He's out today on leave.
Joseph Saya. Present. Alina Santillan.
She's had an excused absence today.
Excused absence. Erica Newman.
Present.
Oh, Erica Newman is present. Wonderful. Tasha Johnson. Lydia Washington. Not present. Suzette Dickerson.
Present.
Thank you. Officer Mullins.
He's on mute, but he's present.
Officer Mute is on. Officer Mullins is on mute, but
Can you hear? Can you hear me
Yes.
now?
Hi, Officer Mullins.
Thank you.
Joel Merkel, that's me. I am present. Jeremy Wood.
Present.
And welcome.
And welcome. Jeremy Wood is a new commissioner to the CPC, and we would like to welcome him to his first meeting today. Thank you for your service, Jeremy Wood.
Thank you.
IMC, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 8. We are 1 member short of a quorum. So at this time, I will not be asking for a motion to approve the draft agenda and draft minutes. If we get one more commissioner, we can proceed with that. But according to our agenda, one of the first action items is a discussion on the Charlene Lyle's inquest. And we have enough folks here to begin that discussion. And some background on this is, as some folks probably saw, there was an article in the Seattle Times, and we've received information from others regarding an incident that occurred at the inquest location, that after one of the officers testified, there was an interaction between the officer and his family. And following that interaction, there was Seattle SWAT, two Seattle SWAT members that appeared, and that has caused some great concern for some of us on the commission.
Recording in progress.
This meeting is being recorded.
It's my understanding that SPD Brian Maxey may be present. SPD is, I just want to acknowledge that SPD may not be able to comment or speak about this given ongoing investigation with OPA. This is based on policy, but this does not indicate any indifference on their part. But we do have some other folks here who can discuss, including Ms. Johnson. I think she's in the.
I think she's supposed to be able to zoom in, so I don't know if she's here yet.
I see in the waiting room.
Is Ms. Johnson present?
I do not see a Johnson here. Oh, what is that first name? Apologies.
She has not joined the meeting yet. We're monitoring the kind of waiting room.
Katrina, Miss Katrina Johnson.
Katrina Johnson. I hear I think I hear Brandy not on a speaker though.
Ms. Johnson has not joined you all. We're looking and we're watching for them to join.
She has not joined yet.
Okay, well, then I'll see if I can contact her.
Is she an attorney?
Oh, she's a family member.
Family member.
So go ahead, close.
And
So what you want to do is go ahead. You know how to search for it? So please search, screening. That's what you want to do.
Can we resend the link just in case she didn't get it or didn't go through for her?
Yes, what is her email?
Can I take this stuff down?
I can resend it to her. I extended the invitation and sent the information. I can resend it, Evan.
Got
Right,
it.
that'd
Thank
be
you,
fine,
Brandy.
because sometimes things don't always happen the way we think they're gonna happen.
Click duplicate the first one.
while we wait for Ms. Johnson, I would just like to take a moment as co-chair and facilitator at the moment that I unfortunately have a pre-scheduled meeting that forces me to leave by around 9:35. And at that point, Reverend Hunter will take over facilitation.
So what they see is what you see. They turn the title on the side. So, okay, there you go. Be ready to do 2-minute timer.
I'll step outside and see if I can call it. You know, she might have it on might be on vibrate.
Can you make Evan a co-host?
I am going to. I'll go through.
I can help out with the 2-minute timer, Felicia. Yeah.
Is there a way we can turn up the volume on her end? Or just the computer? How did you do it last time?
You mind having the volume for that?
Or just make it louder.
That's fine.
I have to circle back.
Okay,
Okay.
so the next one would be department updates.
She's zooming in now, she says.
Okay.
Is she calling in by any chance? I see a phone number on here.
Yeah, the phone number, yeah, she might be calling in, okay.
What is her phone number? Maybe we should answer that. Here, I'll try to see.
Yes, a 206-304. That's her number, right?
For folks waiting, we are trying to connect with Ms. Katrina Johnson from Ms. Lyle's family.
Yeah.
We believe she's trying to call into the meeting right now.
206, it's not.
It's
There she
Hi,
is.
there she is.
To promote the families. You can click allow to talk. There you go. Katrina, are you able to unmute?
Yes, I am.
Thank you, Katrina.
Good morning, Ms. Johnson.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here today. I know you've been in touch with Reverend Walden. We are honored to have you here, and we're hoping to have a discussion today on the inquest and some events surrounding the inquest. And we're grateful for your presence, and we'd like to include you in our discussion and hear from you about some of the events that transpired last week.
Okay, I'm listening. Do you want me to just talk about like what I know? Like what are we actually, what part? Is it the SWAT being called on my family?
Yeah, I should frame it as we heard some we heard from some folks who were there, and we've also read the Seattle Times article, and I can let you know that there were some folks on the commission that I know are very concerned about what happened, and one of the first things we'd like to do is learn more about what happened and gather information. And that's one of the reasons that we're very grateful that you're here today. My understanding is that you were present and you have some eyewitness account about some of the events that transpired.
Yes, I've been present every day. So on the Wednesday, because the very first week we only met Tuesday and Wednesday, and on that Wednesday, we had heard some hard testimony and things like that, and there was a large group of my family members standing outside the courtroom at the end of the day, and Officer McNew, or I think he's a detective now, he decided instead of using one of the other two doors to walk out the door and parked through the middle of my family like Moses parted the Red Sea, which didn't make any sense to begin with. And I believe he was called a coward. And that was the extent of that. When we got back to court on Monday, because we were off the next several days, we were rushed into an emergency meeting because SWAT was called on our family. We were told that Officer McNew was in fear of his life from Charlena's dad, an elderly man who has been in a wheelchair for 30 plus years with limited mobility. Not an able-bodied person, but a man in a wheelchair. When there's sheriffs inside, he called his supervisor, and I don't know who authorized, but SWAT officers showed up sometime last week, maybe the day or the next day, to make sure everything was secure and some other sort of stuff we heard. It was ridiculous. The judge said it was excessive. When they looked at the video, they didn't see anything that warranted the response of special weapons and tactical officers showing up. And it wasn't following the protocols which are in place as well.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. First, I'm so sorry for everything you and your family are going through. I have a number of questions, but I don't want to jump on any other commissioners who are present who may also have questions. Well, my first question is, were the SWAT officers in uniform when they arrived?
I believe that they were in uniform. Yes, they had tactical in their capacity. Yes, they did.
How many showed up?
I'm not certain. I know it was more than one. It could have been two or three. We did not get to view the tape. We just know that SWAT officers showed up.
Were you present when they showed up?
We were not.
Going back to the original moment with, I guess, Detective McNew, what would have happened if he had exited one of the other two doors that you referenced? I'm not familiar with the actual physical layout of that area.
What would have happened is he wouldn't have walked through our family, which means there would have been no words exchanged, and he would have went on and did whatever he had to do for that day. I think he did it on purpose. He did it as part of intimidation and abuse of power, and the judge actually mentioned that. Like, why would you do that when you could have used several other options and or even waited for the family to like disperse? The judge mentioned that as well.
Okay. Did he say anything to you or the family as he was leaving?
He did not. He did not. He didn't have to. I mean, there's been microaggressions the whole time, like the flashing of your badge and your gun when we're in the parking lot. You know, this process has been the worst thing I've ever experienced in my life outside of Lena being killed.
I have a few concerns. One is that it was my understanding that these were off-duty SWAT, that was called. And so I'm wondering how off-duty SWAT show up with their tactical, with their gear on when they're off duty. What does that mean? So that doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't make sense.
It's also my understanding that SPD does not have jurisdiction over the Children and Family Justice Center, but that is the sheriff's jurisdiction. And according to the Times article anyway, it said that the sheriff's department was surprised to see them. So they didn't call them there, but they just showed up. So I see that as intimidation. And if they wanted to, SPD wanted to look at the facilities and to see if what kind of safety features were in place and where the doors and that kind of thing are, then they certainly could have coordinated that with the sheriffs. And I don't think that tactical gear would be necessary to get a sense of the layout of the Justice Center. So I see it as pure intimidation and totally unacceptable. And so I just want to go on record as a commissioner, that this is a serious problem. And I do understand that SPD cannot comment right now because it is an ongoing investigation. But certainly, Officer or Detective McNew could have gone out another door and not have gone through the family. So that was also unacceptable. So thank you, Ms. Johnson, for being willing to come and to share your story. And I too am sorry that this happened to your family.
I also just wanted to comment also to say that I'm sorry. And also thank you for your graciousness with coming on. And I know that this has really been hard because you mentioned how hard it is to be in there in the courtroom. And I think that the courtroom might not have been designed for this because I guess the family, the way it's set up, the family is still in close proximity to the police officers. And the amount of trauma that this guy has brought up, I mean, even more so traumatizing the family. And also, you know, I mean, with the coroner's report and the disposition of the body and being, you know, look like from the accounts to be 3 shots in the back and all of that. So I just really want to acknowledge the family and you know, and of that. And I keep asking about an out-of-policy takedown because that if it was one that could ever been used, an out-of-policy takedown would have been able to save her life. Now, whether officers would still have a job or not would be a different thing because it would have been out of policy. So I really want to, and I know that today, I think that they're wrapping up. Is that right? Today they're wrapping up or would be wrapping up. So could you just kind of tell us what that looked like? Because you don't know, this is all new. This is all new procedure here. This is our inquest is. So yeah.
So it went through yesterday. So they're deliberating. Um, we don't expect any will come down to they have about 3.5 hours to deliberate so far. But I'll update her uh, time from now.
Say it again, you cannot,
Yeah, we're-
we couldn't hear you. Could you say it again, please?
I said, the deliberations can be over at any time, and I have to be back to the courthouse within 30 minutes. So I'm just trying to like stay close over that way because we don't know when it's gonna happen. But I suspect they could get done sometime this afternoon.
Right, okay. All right, well, I really appreciate that. I mean, this is a new inquest going forward, and so I know it's difficult. Before it was just checking the boxes, and the family didn't have any real representation. So anyway,
Even with representation, I'm not sure that this process is in the best interest of impacted families. Being a person that works with impacted families, I don't even know how I recover from this. I truly don't know. This is just as bad, if not worse, the day Lena was killed. It might even be worse because this is just complete unnecessary and just the amount of intimidation and abuse of power at display from the officers and the attorneys has just been next level. And I don't know why anybody would want to subject themselves to this.
yeah, yeah. I don't have any more questions.
Thank you. Are there anyone else? Is there any other commissioner on the line that has a question or wishes to chime in?
If it's okay, I just would like to just say something really quickly and ask a
Excuse
question.
me, I can't hear Brandy. Can this go up a little up higher?
That's as high as it can go at the moment.
Sorry, Brandy, we're just trying to get the volume up a little bit here.
Okay.
I'll just try something real quick.
Is the speaker through Logitech?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
Apologies, folks. Give us 1 second.
Do we, are we lose more money?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we did. So should we do a quick approval? Check
Other than that, yeah.
Brandon, could you give just a shout just to see how the volume is on our end?
the last commissioner.
Just try speaking a little bit.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, that got a little worse. Apologies, folks. We're having some issues with our Logitech setup. Let's see.
Can everyone hear me still?
Yes, we can still hear you.
Okay, while we're dealing with a technical issue, I have to leave in 5 minutes. I'll be able to join back after about a half an hour. But while in these next 5 minutes, I see that Lajaya Washington has joined us. Is that correct, Ms. Washington? I see her on mute.
Yes,
I see her.
I did. I
Okay.
had to take a minute to unmute, but I'm here.
Okay, thank you. Well, with her presence, we now have 9 and we have a quorum. And so I'd like to ask the commissioners whether there is a motion to approve the
We can no longer hear you all in the room.
Oops.
So,
Legia, can you hear us?
Nia is saying they can no longer hear the room.
No, I couldn't hear. That's why I was raising my hand. I didn't know if it was my signal, but I can hear you. So I just can't hear the CPC audio.
I couldn't hear either.
I think we can hear now. Reverend Hunter, you're muted currently. Okay, now.
Yeah.
Nope.
Can you connect it to this Wi-Fi, you know, Lucia? I think maybe just try to auto switch. It's the minutes of the agenda.
Can anybody hear me?
I can.
Yes, I can.
I can. I hear you, Reverend Hunter. Can you all
I
hear me
guess
better
not.
now?
I
Yes.
Brandy, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you all hear me?
Do you have volume?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay.
You might just telling them we're having some Wi-Fi issues, but we're back on shortly.
We're having Wi-Fi issues. Let me see if I can put that in a
Yeah.
chat. I guess I don't have chat. We're having Wi-Fi issues, if you can hear me, so please hang in there with us.
Testing.
I hear you, Mr. Ward.
Thank you.
This is only our third meeting, so.
This meeting is being recorded.
Host, right?
Are we back up and running? Can anybody hear me?
I hear you, Reverend Hunter. This is Brandy.
This is
Okay,
me. I can
thank
hear
you.
you.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Well, Joel had to leave before we could take the vote, so hopefully he'll hop back on in about 25 minutes and then he can approve the agenda and the minutes. In the meantime, we're gonna move forward with the department updates. And again, Ms. Johnson, thank you so much for being with us today. So is someone here from the city council? Noel, I think I saw you before. Yes, I see Noel. Noel, is there an update from the council?
Yes, thank you, Reverend Hunter. So I'm sure you're all aware, the council did vote to appoint Jeremy Wood to CPC. Have a few updates about the Public Safety and Human Services Committee. The legislation to create a process for investigation of complaints that name the chief of police had its third hearing on June 28th. We anticipate a vote at the committee meeting on July 12th. At the previous meeting, the committee adopted a substitute version with some changes from discussions with accountability bodies. And just want to briefly go over the changes that were included in that were recommended in the letter from the Community Police Commission. The legislation now states explicitly that both intake and any investigations conducted by OPA shall be conducted exclusively by civilian personnel. Secondly, that any non-city entity that conducts an investigation of any non-criminal violation will not be a law enforcement agency. And third, that any investigation of a suspected violation of law will be investigated by a non-city law enforcement agency. So those are the three key changes that were recommended by the CPC that are now included in the version of the legislation that's before the committee that will be considered on July 12th. So thank you for that. The most recent committee meeting, committee heard an update from the mayor's office on work plan for the ongoing 911 call analysis, the risk managed demand analysis that SPD is doing, and scoping for future alternative responses. Councilor Member Herbold has requested a committee update on June 28th or July 26th. Also heard an update about the 988 call number for behavioral health crisis systems that will be going online on July 16th. An upcoming presentation item is going to be on King County's regional approach for gun violence reduction. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Noel. Any questions for Noel?
I still didn't hear a real good safety plan. So, I mean, so is the council really working on a safety plan? I mean, I know that stepping away from the chair, I know last year we had sent an email to the city council about creating, working on a safety plan. Because really, at that time, we were concerned about the escalation of violence and all the mothers and all the people who was being harmed in Seattle. And it seemed like we had a good safety plan to be able to address some of those issues. So just wondering, will there be a safety plan? I mean, maybe it will be in coordination with what the mayor wants to do, but I mean, there has to be some kind of safety plan that we're going to be talking about to encompass some of the things that's happening in Seattle, and also to reaching out to some of the mothers and people who are being affected by escalation of crime in the city.
That's a very good question. I know that from talking to the mayor's office, it seems that they are working on a sort of a broad approach, of which this is part of it. In the presentation, they talked about wanting to have the call analysis to inform what kind of responses should be made for the different priority level of calls. Priority 1 and 2 are the serious ones that where you definitely need a sworn officer response to raise the possibility for some of the other ones, 3 and 4, that some, for example, reports need to be signed off by a sworn officer that other people could perhaps go to the site and take the reports. So that, I think that feeds into what you're talking about and how to get to that. And I know that's why Councilor Herbold wanted to invite them back later this month to get an update to see how the development of that is going.
Because one of the things we've asked for many years is high cameras with sunset date in the high profile areas. I hear that I think one of the county council person is now asking for cameras to be where people go hiking at and all this stuff. So I was wondering if the county can put up cameras in a high profile area. I don't know why we haven't been able to move toward putting up cameras in the whole high, because there's places where people get shot at and they get shot often in those areas, and without any of them making any arrest, then people shoot people in the daytime because they know that they're not going to get arrested. So it's just looks like we just need an overall better plan to be able to work on all of these issues around violence. So anyway, thank you though. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Noel. Is there someone from the mayor's office to bring an update? I don't see someone, but there is someone from the monitoring team. So Ron, good morning to you, and do you have an update for us? Oh, I think you're on mute. We see your lips moving.
Good morning, members of the Community Police Commission.
Good morning.
I have little to report. I think as you are aware, the monitor and my co-teammate Vanessa Wheeler have been working on the accountability assessment. I'm not aware of what the progress has been since our last Seattle VMAP session meeting. As some of you are aware, I have been in pretrial preparation on a major brain damage case. And so I've been pretty much incommunicado because I've been working 7 days a week, sometimes 15 hours a day. I'm happy to report on behalf of my young client that the case resolved successfully Tuesday. So you'll have the burden of seeing me more often in the foreseeable future. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. How about an update from the Department of Justice?
Hi, good morning, everyone. This is Brittany Saraneo with the U.S. Attorney's Office. We do not have a DOJ update for you this week.
Okay, thank you so much, Brittany.
Thank you.
Is there an update from the OPA, Office of Police Accountability?
Hi, good morning. So our only update is that we have 2 new staff who are starting today. We have a investigation supervisor who's a civilian, and then a new civilian investigator that we're onboarding both today. And then I think in 2 weeks, we have a second new civilian investigator joining us. So I'm really excited about that and getting them on board.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I see Ron's hand. Ron?
Hi, representative of OPA. Could you set forth the status of the selection of the new OPA director?
So unfortunately, I haven't heard any recent updates. The last I heard, it was going to be the end of July, and I have not heard any updates, maybe in a couple weeks.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any updates from OIG?
Hi, good morning. This is Alyssa Bettis-Morrison. I'm the policy supervisor at the OIG. Thanks for having me. Just a few quick updates. We're working through the Sentinel event review wave 3 draft currently. So that should be drafted and ready for review from the panel soon. And then we'll be moving on to waves 4 and 5, and then wrapping up our 2020 protest review at that time. Our auditing team is laying the groundwork for their surveillance audits that are going to happen this year. And there is an open position for a surveillance auditor. We just hired an investigation specialist and a policy analyst. So we should be onboarding them, the investigation specialist today and the policy analyst in a couple of weeks. And then the only other thing I have is that OIG leadership recently met with leadership of CPC, OPA, and the monitoring team to discuss consent decree issues.
Okay, thank you so much, Alyssa, for that update. And lastly, any department update from SPD? I don't see anyone on my screen that would represent Seattle Police Department, so we'll just move forward.
One second, I'm Brian Maxey, maybe here, speak on SPD.
Oh, there he is.
Maybe, perhaps, I'm not sure.
There
Hi, Brian,
he
can you hear us?
I can, yes. I was not at a panelist level, so I was listening but unable to communicate.
Apologies.
No, it's fine. I think the only real update that I really want to share with this group is that we completed our first session of before the badge, which is our community-based and focused introduction for our new recruits. We had 3 recruits in there, as well as 3 community service officers. So it was an initial class of 6. It was very well received. I think all the community members that participated in this had very positive feedback and enjoyed meeting the new recruits. And certainly the new recruits, not only have they been really quite effusive in their appreciation of the program, they've actually talked with a lot of other officers, and we're getting requests from across the department for our current staff to go through a similar program. And so we're working on developing what we can do. As I think you may recall, it's a 45-day intensive program. So it's not possible for us to run all employees through, but to the degree we can bottle it and distribute it and get those values out department-wide, we're really looking forward to it. But very pleased to report that it was well received by all parties involved.
Great. Thank you so much.
Looks like we have a raised hand from Ron.
Yes, Brian?
Brian,
Sir.
that's outstanding news. And hopefully it will gain momentum and grow and grow and grow. Thank you very much for the report.
And thank you, Ron. We are currently scheduling the 2nd class, and we're running it as a loop. So this is going to be an ongoing process, and we're going to hard bake it into our training program.
Great, thank you. Officer Mullins, I see you came on camera. Is that because you had something to share with us?
No, I was just listening.
Okay. Well, then I think we can go directly into public comment. And public comment is welcomed by the CPC. And individual speakers will be provided up to 2 minutes to comment about items on the meeting agenda. So is there anyone signed up for public comment?
So if anyone is available or interested in speaking, please use the raise the hand function on our emails. No one has registered for public comment. However, we did receive 2 public comments, one from Jerome Drescher regarding Officer Mullins, and then another one from Sharif Hassan in their experience of being racially profiled by a SPD robbery detective as well. And these comments have also been forwarded to the commission. If you like, I can read them out loud.
No.
Okay, and then
on the agenda.
In that case, we do have a raised hand from Dr. Howard Gale. I will set up the 2-minute timer and share my screen really quick. There we go. 2 minutes. Sure. You can see that? Okay. Can someone please unmute Dr. Howard Gale and I can start the timer. When you're ready, Dr. Howard Gale.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. Good morning. So regarding Charlena Lyles, what was not discussed today is stunning testimony yesterday that made it clear from Officer McNew that policy and training, SPD policy and training, only allowed for him to kill Charlena. When asked why he couldn't use a baton, he said it could only be used for pain compliance, and if he used the baton to hit her in the head, that might prove fatal. This is part of a horrifying circular argument that's been used year after year, that the SPD can only use force that's deadly when it's necessary to use deadly force. That is why after Charlena was killed, we ended up with the deaths of Albert Fredericks Jr., Ioseo Faltego, Diane Rodriguez, Ryan Smith, Sean Lee Fur, Terry Caver, Derek Hayden, and the still unnamed person that was killed in Beacon Hill on January 5th. So again, this is part of a pattern. It's part of the policy and training, something which the CPC has not addressed in 5 years, actually has not addressed in 9 years. And I will point out on December 8th of 2017, the CPC issued a letter to the court and to the public that said the Force Review Board, the SPD Force Review Board is sufficient, and I quote from the letter, the skill and dedication of those that comprise the board and the quality of those investigations. And the only concern raised in 2017 was not the sufficiency of the Force Review Board investigation.
Oh, Howard, some reason you're muted. Let me.
I'm sorry, at what point did I get muted?
Force investigations.
2017.
I don't know how long I've been muted. Anyway,
Just around 5 seconds. Apologies. I was only around 5 seconds.
As I said, the CPC has actually certified back in 2017, shortly after Charlena was killed, the sufficiency and the accuracy of the Force Review Board, which actually let the officers off. So again, as I said, 8 people in mental health crisis or without weapons have been killed since Charlena.
Thank you, Dr. Gale, for your comments. Is there anyone that would like to have a comment on the public comments?
Yes, I would. I mean, we have we have consistently talked about an out of policy takedown. We talked about it to the DOJ and to other people about an out of policy takedown. You heard me today say that out of policy takedown, and what would happen if an officer used an out of policy takedown. And I've said that many times, and even with the Faltova case, the facts of that case, I was already on the ground. It was not a mentally ill. That was not a CIT issue, crisis intervention issues, and some of the ones that Mr. Gill mentioned were not CIT. Some of those was maybe one of those cases was domestic violence. But we have constantly asked for, and I've talked about it more than once, an out of policy takedown. And in fact, I've explained it to people. In fact, I talked to Ms. Johnson about it the other day, and outside when I was talking to her about it, and was wondering would that been an appropriate question to be part of the jury? I could ask about that question. So a lot of things that he says, with his PhD, he wants us to believe everything that he's saying. But we have constantly talked about an out of policy takedown. After doing this work for 32 years, I do know that the out of policy takedown, I know what it is, and it's out of policy because the officer might lose his job, but the individual might be saved. So really, so we can continue to have a discussion around out of policy takedown. In fact, I don't know if Mr. Max is still on the phone or not on the list, but maybe some other time we could have a whole conversation about out of policy takedowns and what it looks like, and how to bring it to the community, and that kind of stuff. So anyway, but that's all I have to say about that.
Okay.
So we should go on to the next.
All right. Thank you. Well, we are going to move on to the commission updates. And as one of the new co-chairs, I don't have an update other than to welcome again Jeremy Wood as the new commissioner. And Jeremy, if you would like to share a little bit about who you are and your passion for doing this work, that would be helpful. Jeremy, can you hear us? Well, we'll move right along. But Jeremy, we are glad that you are with us. Reverend Walden, anything else you would like to add as on the co-chair?
Just a welcome to Mr. Woods, and knowing that he was replaced Carlene Epplehawk, who's actually I will be representing the Native American communities and bringing all kinds of help and enthusiasm from that community. So welcome, Mr. Woods.
Thank you, thank you. And now a report from our executive director, Director Grant.
Thank you, Reverend Hunter. Thank you, Reverend Walden. I just wanted to give a few updates, primarily around some sad departures and then about our recruitment efforts and engagement. I'm sure everyone is aware that our policy director, Shailene, her last day was yesterday. They have moved on, and we thank them for all their incredible work that they've done, but it is definitely a gap and a hole that the staff and the commission will have. I also wanted to give an opportunity for Mr. Evan Lee also to discuss his future plans and what's coming up next for him. But before I turn the mic over to Evan to say a few things about work and just his experience here, I wanted to talk to you all about the fact that the primary focus for the next 2 months is going to be a heavy recruitment and engagement strategy around making sure that the open positions that we have are filled in a really intentional way. We already had our community engagement specialist position that had went live actually last month, and we're doing a resume review for it this week to be able to build out Director Cross's team. And then we also are going to begin the process for having a permanent communications advisor. As you all know, Jacqueline, who's done an amazing job with us, has been in a temporary out of class position. So we're now beginning the process for to hire for that position permanently. So currently with Shailene, the comms advisor position, the CE specialist position, which actually posting ended yesterday, we'll start reviewing resumes. We will have 4 open positions. That means that there's going to have to be a shift in priority and focus of work. I'm asking for some grace because I also want to make sure that the folks that I have remaining, which I have an amazing team, as you all know, that they're not overburdened with work because the fact that we're going to be short-staffed for a little bit. But I'm just wanting to reassure you all that the recruitment process has started, paperwork is underway. We may be tapping into co-chairs to particularly assist with some of the interviews for first and second interviews. But I just wanted to give you all an update about some of the impending departures and just plans for making sure that we fill some really big shoes that we're losing with the CPC staff. And I'm going to give Evan a few minutes to share some things with you all as well too, and then I'll give my final report about some operational things.
Got it. Yeah. Thanks, Brandy. And again, like I'm Evan. I'm the current data and policy strategic advisor for the CPC. And as some of you may have heard, I'm leaving the CPC. My final day will be July 15th. And I just want to say, I appreciate all the support CPC and the community has given, and especially I would say, the candidates of the community. It really has given me driven and vision for the work I've kind of tried to accomplish at some of the work I have done here at CPC. And I think just kind of speaking to what Brian was mentioning, I think I'll be creating a transition plan for the next strategic advisor. So basically, they can kind of hit the ground running for the work they've done and the work that will, I guess, continue to go. But yeah, thank you, Brian. That's all I had to say.
Thank you. Thank you, Evan. Thank you for all your brought. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Evan.
Good luck in your endeavor.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Evan. We really appreciate you. And we hope you stay in touch and stay connected to the work in some way. The other thing, just shifting gears and giving a bit of an update. As you all know, I've given report outs on our office move. We have an IT move date, and then we have a physical date to be able to move. We're beginning to pack up the office and get everything squared away so we can get into our new space. And so I also just wanted to give an update about that. So there are so many transitions and new things that are on the horizon, and hopefully we can continue to be supportive of one another and stay optimistic through this journey and this transition at this time. So for now, that is all the updates I have, unless anyone has any questions for me.
I have a question. In the new space, will there be a room for the work groups to meet there if they wanted to come to be in public meeting?
Yes, ma'am. We actually will have our own conference room, much like we did in the other space, but just much larger. Yes.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Any new business to bring up, commissioners?
I'd like to just see if Suzette would just, it's not really new business, but it's like an update about what she's doing. I think that she was taking a wonderful class that she was so excited about at one time. And I think that class is over. So if Suzette, if Ms. Dickinson is still on the line, maybe she could give an update about what she just finished up as a commissioner.
Sure. I know that some of the staff and myself were taking the diversity and inclusion certification program. And so I'm happy to say that I have completed my course and gained my certification, and that it was very enlightening to me. You really had to dig in deep. I think that it'll be beneficial not only for CPC, but everyday life and work. There is a lot about, overcoming your biasness and how to be a disruptor of the bias culture. So it was a great course, and I look forward to putting what I've learned into practice.
Thank you. So what's one of the main highlights that you're taking away from it? I think Ms. Cross went also, and I think also our director. Did you go also? And
everyone on staff.
Everyone on staff did. Okay, so I think that this is a step in the real direction. So just wanted to know. I mean, I heard a lot about it, but I just wanted to hear about what excited you most about learning this new information.
What excited me most was that I was already in the right direction, but learning more tools, and again, learning about really about how we have to be disruptors of things that go on within the workplace or within conversations. And so being able to stop people when they are being biased, or being able to point that out in a professional manner. I think that that was one of the highlights.
Yeah, I would just like to add, I'm very grateful that I had an opportunity to take that course. It was just like Suzette, just like you said, on the right direction, but just some extra tools to be able to use in your pocket, and they also gave us tool sheets to refer to. It was very deep, but it was very eye-opening to me as far as leadership, tools for leadership, and tools for dealing with yourself, checking yourself and your own biases. So I look forward. I hope that we can have a broader conversation as a group with some of the things we learned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. I kind of echoing what everyone else just said, happy we're on the right track, happy that it kind of gives us more tools to be used. And I think it's interesting because I feel like diversity inclusion is talked about a lot, but I think taking like an actual course about it with like really esteemed professors, people who kind of are trained in it or like have lots of experience in it, definitely gives you kind of different insights.
For me, it was great to just see and hear how this already echoed some of the materials that I already knew. I have a master's in public administration from the Evans School along with Evan. Here, I took critical race theory. I also took the seminar from the People's Institute for Undoing Racism as well. And so it was just good to see what they're teaching people on up the private corporate level. But what I'm really excited about is just seeing how, especially Executive Director Grant and the management team will use this information to create an inclusive climate for the office.
I'll follow up with the Jacks. I think for me, it was a great experience just to be able to have some like-minded folks that were in the room that were hearing about ways to create, an improved environment and climate. They talked a lot about co-creation, folks' responsibility in settings. And I also am really excited to have an opportunity to figure out how we can apply it. It was pretty fast paced also while still doing the work, but being able to have, like Felicia said, more robust conversations about how we can be co-creators and work together to create an environment that people are excited about being in. So I look forward to us being able to dig a little bit deeper now that we've had time to finish the entire course. And I'm also grateful for it. I'll add that too. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So now work group update. Police practices, I don't think we have anything specific to share. We have a meeting next Tuesday, I believe. Nia, you can correct me if I'm wrong. And we will continue to work on the OPA MAR, Management Action and Recommendations, and see where we go with that. Nia, anything else you want to add to the police practices work group or any of the other work group updates?
Nothing for police practices. You hit it right on the head. We do have our meeting next week and we'll be talking about more MARS. Let's see, next up is community engagement. So I will cede the floor to Felicia.
Thank you, Nia. Maybe we should change the order on the agenda, so because you have all of them. So community engagement. I just wanted to say, can you hear me? Yeah, okay. Community engagement. I want to thank Reverend Walden and Lajaya for signing up for the Festival Sanjata. Things didn't work out for the attendance, but we had a really good time. I had some community members, and including my granddaughter, that came and helped with the table over the 3 days, and made a lot of contacts, community contacts. I've actually followed up with 4 people so far, contacts made at the table, and it was a good representation for CPC at the festival. A lot of people were inquisitive about the work and what we do, and so hopefully we'll gain some meeting interest. People might join in. So that was that. That was 3 days, and they also attended. Reverend Walden and I also attended the Juneteenth celebration that the mayor's office put on at the Macau auditorium. I can't think what it was called.
It's music. It was music that helped, that inspired us to our generation of music that inspired African Americans to have hope.
Yes, so it was one Seattle sponsoring it, but the bottom line with that is it was an amazing concert. It was a all Black, basically, orchestra with a conductor and opera singers, and it was just really, really amazing. And they plan to do that every year. So if when it comes up again, June 18th, Reverend Braxton told me, then I would really recommend trying to attend. The last thing I just wanted to mention is that next week, on next Tuesday, July 12th, is the next community engagement meeting. And we will be having a conversation, a presentation from Deputy Fire Chief Christopher Lombard, and he's going to come to talk about the new Community Safety and Communications Center, which we know as the 911 operations. So we will have a robust conversation about the new Z designation for the calls and things that have been recently in the media as far as how calls go out and how they're processed, which is a whole different procedure than it was when 911 was under the SPD's preview. So those are my updates. Thank you.
Thank you, Felicia. Now back to Tania. What's the other update?
Sure. So the next work group up is state legislative agenda. Joel and I have been in contact about setting up a time to first get them updated on the work that the work group has done previously, and also set up a time for regular meetings. This is a work group that will be looking for more commissioner involvement. I think right now it's just Joel and I, and Austin was on the work group. So perhaps when he returns, that'll be enough. But we're still in this phase of getting Joel up to speed. So no real updates from SLA quite yet. For complainant appeals, we were not able to have our meeting 2 weeks ago. We're hoping that this month we can actually have our meeting and wrap up some of the prep work that we've been doing so that we can present to the full commission our plan to move forward with that work group. The final work group is behavioral health. This one is in an interesting place. Both Douglas and Alina were the commissioners that were in that work group, and they are both on break until September, I believe. So we're kind of at a point where we can either wait for their return to continue to pick up that work, or we can assign people in the interim and continue to push the work forward. So I think that's a decision that maybe co-chairs should discuss, and you know, I will support whichever way you all decide to move forward. And I think that's it for the work groups.
Okay.
I'll sign up for the complainant's appeal if it's nobody that's signed up for that one. Because I know that that's one that really does need to move forward. And yeah, I'm willing to help that.
Thank you, Reverend Walden. I'll make sure that you have the invites come to your inbox.
Okay. And I'll encourage other commissioners to step up, you know, because that's really what we need. You could do the work. You can't do it without us stepping up to come to the work groups to be able to, or for you to do the research on what's necessary for us to do the work. And so, you know, so I'll be encouraging other commissioners to step up, or, you know, and that kind of thing. So thank you so much, Nia.
Thank you, Reverend Walden. And I just want to echo that as well, is that we do need all of the commissioners to be on a work group, and not just 3 or 4 of us that are doing most of the work. It's part of the responsibility in being a commissioner and working with the work groups. And so I would encourage all of us to participate. So,
community engagement too.
Yeah. And maybe also what we might want to think about doing is so we can just hop back to new business for just 1 minute. Maybe we could survey some of the commissioners to find out what time of day works for them. I mean, maybe the time of day might be different. I don't know, but I mean, it's like something to get people going to think about that. So that's maybe something you could think about, is asking them if that time doesn't work, what time would work, and if that time would work and we got it, would you be committed to come into the meeting?
Okay.
Yeah, something might be something new. I mean, it's like, because we've been trying the same thing,
Right.
asking people and stuff like that. So anyway, thank you so for your courtesy.
Reverend Hunter, may I please
Yes.
go back to also to echo with the community engagement meeting on next Tuesday. I'll ask again for commissioners to please try to attend, and also to please send out the meeting invite to your contacts. That would be helpful.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I can't, Nina, you may have mentioned this and I just zoned out. When you were talking, did you mention the op-ed that was supposed to be, or was that at the last meeting that we talked about that? Has that
Oh, it was at the last governance meeting. So the op-ed on behavioral health that has been published in the South Seattle Emerald. Congrats to both Nia and Douglas on penning that as well. Thank you so much, you two, for spearheading that work.
Okay, thank you. I just want to make sure that that was mentioned. Yeah. And anything else for the good of the order? I think we're almost at the end of our agenda that we really couldn't vote on because we didn't have a quorum, we didn't have a quorum, we didn't. So anyway, we're almost at the end. Emily, I sent you an email about parking. So if you could get back with me regarding that, I would appreciate that. So, and this concludes our meeting, and we want to thank everyone for coming today. We'll be back in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leah.
Thank you.